Hello, welcome to Whimsy Stamps YouTube Live. If we have not met, my name is Carrie Giletto and I am thrilled to be here to craft with you today. So today we're going to make a fun Halloween card using several fantastic products from Whimsy Stamps. So let's go ahead and change our camera view and take a look at what we're going to make today. All right, so here's our project and we've got quite a bit going on. We're going to do some foiling, some die cutting and masking, and some Copic coloring. And our card here says, "Shake your grave, Thang." Yeah, yeah. And our little guy is on a wobbler here, and we've got our little ghost up here that shakes as well. So we're going to begin today by taking a look at all the fun products that we're using for this project. Okay, so for our background, we're going to be using the Whimsy Stamp retro groovy toner front card panels. And you know what, before we go any further, if you are out there with me, do say hello there in the chat. That would be fantastic. That'll just help me know that I've got everything working the way it should. So I see that Deb is in there with me. Hi, Deb. There we go. All right, so other than the toner panels that are the retro groovy, we're also going to be using a brand new product that is the solid toner sheets, and we're going to do something really neat with this, where we're going to do some double foiling. So I'm excited to show you that. For one of our main stamp sets, we're going to use the Pug-A-Ween stamp set, and this one I believe is on sale right now at the Whimsy channel, where you can get the stamps and dies for a really good price. So do check that out if you like these cute little pug Halloween fellas. And here's another really fun set. It's let's see what it's called. Yeah, Sheets and Giggles. I thought that's what it was called, but there's a lot of cute puns in there, and just some fun ghosts with, look at all these great expressions. I mean, that's just so fun. And then we're going to use a kind of unexpected sentiment set that came out with the groovy kind of mod stuff that released a few months ago. And this one is called the Shake It collection. So we're going to be using this one right down here. For our dies, we're going to use the Haunted Words, which have Graveyard, Mansion, and Haunted. And then our main die set is going to be the Decrepit, let's see, I want to get it right, the Decrepit Grave die set. And I do want to let you know, this magnet, that does not come in here. I just slide that in there so that you can see all of the different dies that come in the set rather than having a pile. All right, so the first thing we're going to do to make our card is work on our background. Alright, so I went ahead and pre-cut my foils. Oh, look, I want to take a moment there to say hi. Hi, Iris and Debbie. There's my husband, Tony. He's popping in there just to make sure that everything's working the way it should. He's my tech man, so I rely on him for a lot of help getting started. And Sandy, Lee, oh, it's very great to see you all. It definitely, if you have any questions or just comments as we go, do pop in the chat there and interact with me. I love to talk to you while we're crafting. Okay, so I have cut 2 pieces of foil, one in a pretty lime green, and this one is called Pewter. And we're going to be using the pewter one first on our toner card that has a pattern to it. And I just thought this pattern could maybe look like just a bunch of ghosts flying around. So the first thing we're going to do is do this piece in the pewter. Whoops. And I have cut, my sheet that goes through my mink is a short one, so I cut an extra piece out of parchment paper just to feed that through the machine. All right, there we go. We're gonna quickly send that through. I've got my mink all warmed up and back here behind me, so I'll do. Oh, if you haven't tried these toner sheets, I just love them, especially if you have a mink or a laminator. They just are so fun. So many creative things you can do with them. So as soon as that one comes out, we're going to go ahead and work on some double foiling. It'll take it just a second because it's a slimline. It takes it just a little bit longer to get through the machine back here. One thing we can talk about there while we're waiting on that is our dies here that say graveyard. Because this is the decrepit piece die, the big one, I just need the word grave. So I cut this word grave out of some green cardstock 3 times, and then I glued those together to layer them up for my card. So, you know, anytime you have a word die like this, you know, you don't have to use the whole word, and you can mix them up and take letters out of there, cut them apart to make them say what you need them to say. All right, so here we have our piece that came out of the mink. And of course, you can use a laminator if you have that. Here's the big reveal. All right, so for our project today, this is an extra piece. We're not going to use this one today. What we want to use for our card is this piece right here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this aside. I'll show you something you can do with that here in a moment. And now we're going to take this full toner piece. We're going to lay our piece that we just made right on top. Now we're going to run this one through the machine. Okay, while that one's going through the machine, I will show you what we need to do as far as stamping. And for stamping for this project, I used some Copic friendly ink, and I chose the Memento. But we need to stamp one of the pugs, and I chose the Frankenstein one, but any of the others would work on this card as well. And then I chose a couple of the ghosts. And I liked this ghost because he kind of looked like he was tapping our pug on the shoulder, like, hey there. And then this one because it looked like he was just shaking it up there, shaking his thing. And then I also stamped a couple of the pumpkins. So that's what we'll need as far as our stamping goes. We've almost got it through the mink back here. Okay. I wish the mink had a speed on it and you could speed it up, but I suppose it's got to go that speed to get the job done. All right, so now we're going to peel the paper off, and now we've got that same image in here, but the non-foiled parts are still toner. So this is where the double foiling comes in, and I'm going to go ahead and put the lime green on there, and we're going to make our ghosty background. There we go. And one thing you can do to help your foiling get a nice foil is, one, don't touch your toner sheet very often. Like, only touch it when you absolutely have to, because your fingerprints can cause dirt to stick to the toner sheet, and then you might get some areas that don't foil correctly. And that's the other tip. You don't want to get any dust or you know, you don't want to use your powder tool or anything like that, because any kind of dust can cause you to have those speckles in your foiling. So this piece is now trash. We've used the whole thing, which I love. I love being able to use those other pieces. Now remember that our original piece that we originally foiled to get our background piece, we may not be using it for this project, but if you wanted to make this card again and just have your ghosts be the opposite, you know, rather than the ghosties green and black, you can come in with some ink and a dauber and ink this up. After you've inked it, wipe it clean, because your foil is going to resist your ink. So it won't be 100% foiled, but it's still a you know, great piece, and you want to put this to use. All right, now here's our big reveal with our double foiling. And there we go. Now I'm going to save this piece as well because I still have several pieces of the toner sheets, and I'll be able to get this design again, and who knows, maybe I will double it up with some white foil and make a white background. So see how much you can get out of your foil by using these toner sheets. So definitely check out these toner sheets if you've never played with those before. All right, I'm going to grab my paper cutter real quick because our background piece here needs to be just a tad smaller than what it was before. So it started out at 3.5 by 8.5, and I am going to cut just a 1/4 inch off the top and the one side and one top, and that'll give us a 1/8 border around the edge so that we can have a black outline on our card. Hi, Bo, and I'm trying to catch some names there. I see Bo and Debbie and Polly Designs, and oh, I'm so glad so many of you are here with me. I wasn't sure for this first one. I thought, well, I hope there's some folks there. Thank you for throwing me some hearts. I love seeing those hearts fly up the side. All right, so we've got our background piece ready to go. Now, while we're doing kind of the bolts of the card, we will need a card panel, and you can cut it to 7 by 8.5 and then score at 3.5 and fold that over. And then on the inside, this measures 3.25 by 8.25. Oh boy, lots of hearts. Thank you. Oh, my husband put lots of hearts in there. Thank you, Tony. So that will just give us our card base, and when we're ready, this will go on our card front. So the next thing I've done is out of our I keep wanting to call this a tombstone. It's the decrepit grave. I went ahead and die cut the base piece out of a dark gray, and then the other two pieces out of a lighter gray, and the little skull and crossbones, I cut those out of the dark gray as well. But what we're going to do is do a little bit of masking so that we can get our sentiment onto this piece. So one thing I found is you want to lay it in there and make sure you have it right side up, because you don't want to accidentally stamp your sentiment on it upside down, then put it on here and realize, oops, it's upside down. So I actually did that once. That's why I can warn you not to do that, because I've already done it for you. Sometimes that's why I can teach you, is because I've already messed it up once. So I went ahead and made myself a little template here. And I'll take the white piece out and slide my gray piece in. There we go. And I have positioned my sentiment over here so that it's going to place right where I want it to be on my front panel of my tombstone there. So I'm going to set these two aside. And I've also stamped it out on a piece of masking paper. And I'm just going to quickly take my scissors, and I want to trim it right inside of the line because I want to preserve the little banner. I just want to take out the word groove. So I'm cutting my mask so that it's right inside that banner. So let me know in the chat, are any of you crafting today? And if so, what are you working on? You know, here at Whimsy, we love Halloween. So I'd love to know if you're working on Halloween cards, or have you already moved on to Christmas, or what are you working on in your craft room? Okay, so to get this just the way I want it, I'm going to start, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my sentiment over here. And for my sentiment, I'm using VersaFine Clair, because VersaFine Clair gives you a nice dark sentiment each time. And now let me get the sticky off the back of my... This is probably the hardest thing we're going to do today, is right here, getting that backing off. See if I can... Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this piece, and I'm going to lay it right in there. Okay. push it up just a tad. There we go. Now, instead of taking it this way, I'm going to take this part, which I've magneted down the piece that I want to hold in place, and I'm going to turn this way, and now turn it over this way. Now I'll just press down. And I usually have to ink this a couple times to get that to really give us a good impression. So just pull that up, and there you go. So again, I'm just going to lift off my... Now that I have it over here, now I can just place this right over here inside the lines. There we go. And now we can mask this like we normally would, and we have that right in place. Oh, Bo, you're making some daffodil cards. Very nice. I love flowers. I make a lot of flowers in my craft room. Deb is ready for Halloween. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Okay, so I think I'm liking that. That's pretty good. Go ahead and clean that off real quick. All right, so now that we have our seine, we'll go ahead and pull that off just like that. Now, it's pretty nice just like this, but one thing that is always good to do, especially when you're making something creepy, we're going to go ahead and ink the edges. All right, and that'll just give it a much older kind of fun vibe to it. I always like to go over and ink the edges. Another fun thing to do for this piece right here is to use a brick stencil. I suppose you could use a die or a stamp too, but a brick stencil or a brick stamp to kind of lightly stamp on this to give it kind of a creepy vibe. That's fun too. In fact, I might have done that to some of my pieces. All right. So while I've got this one out, I'm going to go ahead and ink this piece as well. Well, here in Texas, we are not letting go of summer. And am I shaking the whole camera? I need to probably ink a little softer because I think it does. It rocks my table. I always forget that. And then I look up and I see the screen and it's like, oh, everything's shaking. Yes, what I was saying, here in summer, it is still, or here in Texas, it is still so hot that regardless of what the month says it is, we're definitely still in summer. So, all right, now there is one more piece that we will need. I have a little envelope here with my pieces all cut out, and I went ahead in advance and inked all of the little pieces of the stairs, and then we also need to ink this little top part, and we are going to go ahead and put our decrepit grave together. All right, so I already told you how I made my little grave word, and here's my skull and crossbones, and I am going to go ahead and pop this up once. I love dimension on my cards, so I do a lot of popping up. That, of course, is optional. You know, if you like your cards to be perfectly flat, you certainly don't have to do this part, but I like a little bit of dimension. So just gonna put that right in there. Okay, and there are lots of fun things you can do to this grave with the different media pastes and just textures that you can give to it that are so fun. I had so much going on in this card with our foiling and things, I thought I better keep it on the simple side or we'll be here all day, right? I don't want your first one to be so long that There we go. And I will add the stairs when we put it on our card. But I'm going to go ahead and use glue to add our skull and crossbones and our grave word. Oops. Let's just stick to my finger. So do any of you dress up for Halloween? And if so, do you have ideas of what you're going to be this year? I don't know what the hot costumes are for kids. It seemed like last year we had a lot of unicorns come by with the little girls dressed up in little unicorns. It's 95 in Connecticut? Yeah, I guess that's crazy there. Next week I'll actually be heading to Boston, and a little bit nervous because they say the storm is going to be hitting. So the word grave is a little bit bigger than our little banner, so I just kind of placed it so that it kind of goes out equally on both sides. And there we have our grave ready to go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, I'll set this aside with our other pieces, and the next thing we're going to do is work on a little bit of Copic coloring. And we're going to go ahead and color our little pug first. And for his body, I'm going to use the Y24 and the Y21. And just anywhere where I feel like he should have some shadow, I'm going to use the darker color. When it comes to coloring, I'm definitely more on the simple side of things. I know that there's so many fantastically talented colors here at Whimsy. I have been just amazingly impressed with the beautiful coloring. But for those of you that may be a little intimidated by, all the fantastic coloring, rest assured that I'm very simple. So I'm just going over the Y24 I laid down and then pulling this lighter color, the YR21, over the top. And for most small areas, I just do a 2-color blend, and then if it's a bigger area, I may do a 3, but for the most part, I do 2. All right, so that's done with him. Now for our his little helmet up there, I'm just going to use the one, and it is a YG06. All right, and on any place where I want there to be a little bit more shadow, I'm just going to go over it a second and third time to darken up the parts where I want that to be a little darker. And mostly just over on the edges and maybe on his scar to kind of make that appear rounded. Okay, for his little jacket, I'm going to use the B21 and the B23. And again, I'll start with the darker and put in my shadows. And then just come in with the lighter and blend that on out. Now, I'm not going to go and color the entire image because I do have one colored, but I want to show you the different colors that I used. So the E08 is what I colored his pants with. And then for his shirt, I wanted it to be a striped green, so I used the YG67 and the YG63, and I just did every other stripe. For his tongue, I did the the R17, and I just did his tongue. And again, just like I did at the top, for the places that I wanted shadow, I just kind of went over it with the same color. Now for his ears, his feet, his ears, and his little nose and everything up here, I used the C7 for his feet. And also for his ears. Then I used the C5 for his little cheeks. And the only place that I used the black, I very rarely color with black, but for his little helmet up here for the very, very top, and for his nose, I went ahead and did that in the black. All right. Now for our little ghosts, I wanted them to have a little bit different look. So I used the B60, which is kind of a purple color. And instead of using a gray, I used purple. And I just started at the edges and kind of flicked in. And same with the other side. And just flicked inward to kind of give them some shadow without coloring them all the way in. And I did the same thing to both of them. Kind of coloring in their tails and stuff where I thought it would be darker, and their arms I went ahead and colored in. But I just added that shading. For this one, his mouth I did with a V with 4 zeros and just colored in his mouth. And I wanted both of them to kind of have some glowing eyes, so I used the Y17 to give them some glowing eyes. Oh, thank you, Iris. And like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and color in because I'm kind of a slow colorer. It takes me a long time, but I did want to share the colors that I used. And for my pumpkins, I used the YR07. Oops, I had 2 of them. The YR07, and I believe I came back with some of the Y04 and YR04, and so that one, that's how I did my pumpkins. Okay. Through the magic of YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and pull these out, and I have already cut those out for us. Another thing that we need to do in our stamp that we're using for the sentiment, there's these little words down here that say shake, shake, shake. And since I was using the Wobblers, I thought it would be fun to have the words shake, shake, shake be placed next to those that had the Wobblers on it. So I did cut those out, and I just freehand cut around those. All right, I've got 2 of my Wobblers, and we are ready to construct our card. Now, oh, here's my, we will need these steps. Just going to glue on our background. I love this foil sheet, so fun. I can tell the Slimline toner pieces where the whole thing is toner, I'm going to have to buy several packages of those because I went through my package like so fast. So there we go. So we're going to go ahead and put on your base piece. And now I'm going to glue my tombstone here. I'm going to put kind of at an angle. And I better move him up a little bit. There we go. Want to have room for my stairs. So for the steps, the smallest one I'm going to put at the top. And then each one I'm going to add a little more foam in order to get those to pop up. Okay. So this top one I'm just going to put right on the bottom here. And now we'll pop up those next ones. have some of these thin foam pieces, I think that'll make it easier. And now this last one, I'll put 2 pieces of foam layered up on the back of this so that it stands up even higher. All right, there we go. And I'm just kind of buttoning them up against each other so it looks like stairs leading up to my tombstone here. So now let's go ahead and place our ghosts. So this ghost, I just kind of tucked his tail right in under here so that it kind of looked like he was tapping our guy right on the shoulder, like scaring him. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add some glue on him, and he's just glued straight down. There we go. Now our little pug, and you might notice on the pug, when I colored this one, I did him a little different. I thought that was kind of part of a helmet, or you know, like a sock cap or a ski mask that went down to be part of his costume, so I colored his face green like the other part. But you can kind of go either way on that. And now we're going to attach our wobblers. There we go. Having trouble getting the tape off. There we go. And I like to put my wobbler down first and then place our guy. That way I can get him right where I want him and he's not blocking. There we go. Look at that. There he goes. He's wobbling. I'm going to put a pumpkin on the stairs next to him just to add a little bit of color. And now we're also going to do a little wobbler on the back of this one up here. And hopefully the paper comes off a little easier on this one. There. Yes, it did. All right, and I've just got him up here at the top. And the final thing is to just add our shake, shake, shake. So I am going to pop these up. All right, let me check here in the chat. Did anybody have any questions or anything? Definitely, if I've missed any questions at the end of my live, I will go back through and kind of read the chat more thoroughly and answer anything that is left there. Anything that has comments that maybe I missed. Okay, there we go. Shake your grave thing. Whoops. And we'll make him wobble here. And our one up here. Oh, our ghost is wobbling a little better than our... Okay. Don't know what's going on there. I ripped it off. Here we go. This one works really well. So here's our little ghost that wobbles. And our little Pugaween. He looks really scared, like he's been tapped by a ghost, and his eyes are wide. So I thought this would be a really fun Halloween card for even for like a teenager. I think they'd have fun with this one. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I know I popped the wobbler off. I've never had that happen. Things like that always happen when you're live and people are watching you. So, all right, I'm going to switch my camera back. All right, thank you so much for joining me today for my very first live on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. I will be coming to you live on Whimsy Stamps 3 times a month, so I won't be here this coming Thursday, but the next 2 Thursdays after that, I will be here live at noon Central Time, 1 Eastern Time. So thank you so much for joining me today for my first go round. And I did want to tell you, if you wanted to rewatch any of the lives, when you go to the Whimsy YouTube channel, you do have to click the live button. They won't be under videos, but they go under the live button. So, okay, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to crafting again with you very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.